We are
Good morning,
live.
good morning, good morning, good morning.
Can I say it?
Say what?
The thing.
Yeah. What?
Live action.
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about.
No, I just posted a reel on YouTube, and what was his name? Turtle
The
Man?
Turtle Man.
Turtle Man. Y'all used to watch that show? He'd say live action, and that's kind of what I felt like when I posted that
I
reel.
didn't know what you was talking about.
I can't get it on Facebook yet, but I'll do my best after the live is over. It was taken
Too long.
Yeah, and I'm gonna figure it out myself. It even had the wrong videos. I
Oh
selected
gosh.
the right ones, but it was
Oh
wrong.
gosh.
Okay, so we got back up. It's
Okay.
April the 26th at 8:00 a.m. on a Saturday morning here in Alabama. So let's do a retake.
Live action.
Live action. Live action.
Oh, I didn't know what you was doing.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if he said like la 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 live action or
I
if
think
it
he
was
just
just
said
live
that
action.
was it, just live action.
He was excited.
Live action. Yeah, he's, you know what? Something of his popped across
Is he still doing
social
it?
media. He don't have a TV show, but he had it was either Facebook or Instagram or something.
Turtle Man.
Turtle Man.
Where does he live?
Why not? I want to say Kentucky, but that's probably not right.
Hmm.
He's probably Florida.
Well, he's a turtle man, and turtles live everywhere, so it could be anywhere.
I don't know why I think
Wouldn't
Florida.
you be surprised if it was like Michigan?
Oh yeah, yeah. I think it was definitely somewhere in the South. My guess.
Oh,
I'm
goodness.
thinking Florida.
Kentucky. Somebody said Kentucky.
It was Kentucky?
Or either they live in Kentucky. Esther said Kentucky. Thank you, Esther. So we're going to say the turtle man lives in Kentucky, but this turtle lady lives in Alabama. So if you didn't see my reel this morning, you'll...
Short on YouTube.
Short, yeah. Okay. He got to get that right because...
We won't get people confused.
Well, you got me confused because I don't know what it's called. How's everybody doing this morning? It is sunshining.
It is sunshine. I can hear the birds and everything's lovely this morning.
But we got a humdinger of a storm yesterday evening. It was come out of nowhere because I didn't even know it was supposed to rain.
It wasn't a big chance of rain yesterday.
Well, I told my friend, Catherine, I said, it's about to rain. And she said, I know. And I thought, well, where have I been? Because I didn't even know there was a chance of rain. And on the radar was big, storm coming our way. And boy, when it got here, it introduced itself with a name. And that was wind.
Yeah, it was some pretty serious straight line wind yesterday.
Something we weren't expecting. It like I said, it come out of nowhere. My mama had ran up to the little store, and I told her before she left, I said, Mama, it's fixing to be a storm. And she said, oh, it's okay. I got to go. And I said, well, you might want to wait till the storm. And we didn't know it was going to be what it was.
Right.
I thought
no,
it was just...
not at all. And nobody on the east side of us gave us any warning. Usually I have
you mean the west side?
West side of us. Usually my friends over there usually say, oh my gosh, this is bad.
They may not have it. Because I saw somebody in Dallas County say, does anybody know why the power's out? And I thought, well, it'd be pretty self-explanatory to me if our power went out because it was justified. We didn't lose power, but y'all, that wind, oh my gosh. We were looking out the door and could see like a lid to a barrel fly by. It was kind of like the Land of Oz.
Yeah, it was.
At one point, we saw a swimming pool. And it slammed up against the Victorian Crown Pigeons loft. It must not have had a whole lot of water in it.
Oh, me. Yeah, it was sustained wind. It wasn't like a gust. It was like just solid wind all the time. But
I think her name's Crystal. I can't really see that. It's spelled differently. But I think Crystal asked, do we have a calf yet?
No.
And no, we do not.
No calf.
So... I got to thinking during that storm, I said, this is what Tater's waiting on. She's waiting on the storm. Here it is. So I sent Zoe a message and I screenshotted Tater. She was out in the rain with her friends and they're just out there grazing around. And, they got a shelter. Usually they use it, but no, they're out in the grass. And you know what Zoe told me?
What?
Maybe she just wanted a good bath before she gives birth.
Maybe so. Fingers crossed.
So this morning she's still out there grazing around.
Grazing.
And no calf yet.
Hmm.
Well, we got to be getting closer.
Gotta be getting closer.
Gotta be getting closer.
I saw that someone said it is, they said Happy King's Day from the Netherlands.
Oh.
I'm not quite for sure what that is, but it must be a holiday over there.
I don't know.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Look at there. Adventures with Me and T are on here, and they are at Pedals from the Past.
I was about to see. I saw someone else said that they went to Pedals yesterday.
Good morning, Londa and Tom. I hope y'all are doing well. We had planned on running over there, but I don't think we're going to make it.
May not be able to make it. We'll see. But yeah, Pedals from the Past is having their annual Antiques in the Garden today. And I hope the weather cooperates.
It looks like it's supposed to be beautiful.
At least yesterday that storm was late and it was probably closed by then.
You know what? I bet those tents got blown over.
I don't know.
Yeah. If it was anything there like it was here, that wouldn't have been good.
No.
Now, I ran over there to Pedals to pick up something we forgot.
Yes.
What day did we go? We went Wednesday.
Was it Wednesday?
Well, or Tuesday.
We
went
something like that
to get some stuff for the window boxes, and we had forgot a couple of things. So I ran over there Thursday afternoon, and when I got there, I had forgot it was Antiques in the Garden this weekend.
And they were setting up.
And I was like, what have I done? You know, I don't want to be in the middle of everything. And I literally got there, ran in, got what I needed, and got out. And it wasn't that I didn't want to see anybody. It was just the fact that they were setting up and I didn't want to bother anybody. So I got in quick, and I was surprised at how quick I got my stuff because they weren't that busy Thursday. They were just fueling for the weekend.
Getting ready for the weekend. Saturday.
The day we went, they were hopping, which is the case every day during spring.
Yes.
But it was sprinkling when I was there.
And it was during the weekday because I remember saying, gosh, they were really crowded today.
Well, Jason wanted to go on Good Friday and get the things for planting the window boxes and whatnot. And I mentioned to him that that's the day that
most everybody plants around here.
And you needed to talk to Jason.
I did need to talk to Jason.
But you know what? It's a good thing we didn't, because you didn't know you had the mold problem on the roses then.
No, I knew I had it, but I thought I had it under control. And
so we'd have had to make a second trip anyway.
We had to make a second trip. But even though, and I saw a lot of people, and I guess we didn't video that part, when I asked Jason, did I need to cut all that off? And he said no. The white powdery mildew.
Oh.
He said, no, don't cut it off. He said, just let it bloom out, do its thing, and then, treat it as normal with what I'm doing now. And then next year in January, we're going to spray with copper and then do what we're doing now, and we should be fine next year.
Well, I'm not the gardener of the family. I just help when needed, but I was glad that I was standing there when he was talking about that, because he literally said if we had applied copper in January, we would not have the infestation that we have right now.
It would have cleaned it up. And I do apply copper to the fruit trees, and so I didn't know. And that's what I do from now on, though.
Live and learn. Live and learn. So all of you guys that are planting roses this year, if you want to apply some copper in January, that may prevent you from getting is it powdery mildew?
Powdery mildew is what I have. Last year, I had a little bit of that on the American Pillar Roses, but I had black spot real bad. This year, I don't have black spots, and I don't have the leaves turning super yellow. This year, I got powdery mildew. But it's okay. They look wonderful. I mean, they're still gorgeous. Now, what the powdery mildew will do, it will deform the bloom, so it won't open up and be beautiful. It'll kind of be twisted, and those are supposed to be kind of like a hot pink color.
They're muted.
They're kind of light pink, and they're kind of twisted, and some of the petals are they're not as big as they normally are, but it's still prettier than it's ever been because I got so many buds out there.
Oh, it's amazing, y'all. I wish
Mhm.
every one of y'all could come and just lay eyes on what this gentleman here has done to our side garden, the Alabama
Parterre garden.
parterre garden.
Mhm.
It is phenomenal. And every year it just continues to get better and better as the plants grow and mature.
Mhm.
It's not necessarily that you're adding to it, it's that you're maintaining what we have.
Maintaining what we have, and I did replace some stuff with the pineapple sage. Those native blueberry bushes did not like that spot back there in the
Did you
side.
dig them up?
I dug them up and I put the
Pineapple stage in its place?
pineapple sage in its place and the African blue basil in its place.
Oh, that's going to be beautiful.
It is, and so what I plan on doing is from this point forward is just just plugging in a perennial or plugging in something I like and not worry about symmetry and all that, and just
I like just the mix,
yeah,
and that's the way it is at Petals. It's just
it
something,
is.
and they know what they're doing color wise, but it literally is something stuck here, stuck there, and it looks fantastic. So I saw a lot of comments that on a recent reel, I think that you made or something, that they wanted to see it at night.
Yes, with the lights.
And
I'll do that.
Yes, y'all, sometimes we feed late or we stay at the barn late, and when we're coming home, you can see that side garden, and even from the inside of the house, it's just beautiful. So you'll have to try to get a video.
I will. I try that.
Of course, it'll be dark. You won't see the plants, but the lighting is what makes it so pretty.
Somebody said that blueberries love acidic soil, and we got very acidic soil. So our other blueberries are doing well. They just didn't like that spot on the hill for some reason, and I think it's because
Greg compacted that.
The soil is just awful by the house. It is so awful. It is stripped down, and it's just gravel, just really hard compacted soil. Great for building houses. Not so good for
building plants.
Putting plants in. Really not. But roses, really, especially your old heirloom roses, if you add just a little bit of compost in there, typically they don't care.
Yeah, everything else that's not so finicky did exceptional.
So far, so good.
Our property has recently had lime applied to the entire pastures because,
and I noticed yesterday how great the bovine pasture looks.
Really?
Yes, it looks so good.
And that's just simply because our soil test confirmed what we already knew when we first moved here, that that our soil was acidic. And so by adding that lime, it neutralized it, and it's going to make for better pastures and better plants and everything.
So King's Day is King William Alexander's birthday, and the whole entire country is partying.
All right. Party on. That's the Netherlands, right?
That sounds like a holiday or a celebration that I could get into.
Well, if you get on a plane right now, you're still not going to make it. So if you will, just stay here with me today, and
that'll work.
We'll celebrate here in Alabama. We'll just act like we're there.
I saw somebody ask what was the rose I planted by the propane tank. They forgot, and it's called Lady Banks, and there are two colors, white and yellow. We got the yellow one. Petals was out of the white one. If they had the white one, I may have gotten the white one, but the yellow is just as gorgeous. If you've never seen a Lady Banks rose, number one, you have to be careful where you plant a Lady Banks rose, because by far it's probably the most aggressive rose you could plant.
Yeah.
They will go nuts. And I'm talking probably 7-8 foot tall.
Maybe taller. It does not need a trellis. It will do its own thing.
You can trellis it though.
Yeah.
You can trellis it. Lady Banks rose is a rambler, just like American Pillar is, but it puts out multiple canes, and they get really, really tall, and they kind of fold over. And so around here, a lot of people just let them grow into a bush, and it just folds over and cascade like that. We got a friend of ours, Mr. Raymond, who trained his on a fence, and it's gorgeous. It is beautiful.
Do you remember on Dixie Drive?
Oh, it's beautiful.
So the house I grew up on, I
Mm-hmm.
guess my grandmother planted that because I don't remember Daddy ever planting that. Do you?
That was there.
We had a chain link fence in the backyard that was there and had been there for forever. And Daddy put a gate in. Do you remember it?
Mm-hmm.
And did he cut that thing back and it came right back?
Probably so.
It just did its thing, and y'all, it was gorgeous. If you do plan it on a trellis, it's got to be something sturdy because that rose will put on some weight as it grows, and
it will. It will. I've seen in Jason's rose class where somebody planted one to grow on a pergola, and within 2 years, the pergola is completely covered, and it you have if you plant it on something, it's a lot of maintenance, in my opinion. So I think that's why a lot of people just let them grow
free flow
like a huge shrub. But they're gorgeous. They're thornless. So very, 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 very old rose. Very old. It's thornless. I don't know if it gets any diseases whatsoever. It doesn't get, I've never seen it get, Jason even said it. No black spot, no powdery mildew. You don't have to do anything to it except, feed it a few times a year. And yeah, and it's one of those roses, once the roots get established, you can do whatever you can cut it back. It's going to come right back. Gorgeous rose. If there is a downside, it's a spring bloomer. So it's only going to bloom in the spring, but when it blooms, y'all, spring bloomers, that's the advantage of a spring bloomer versus a repeat bloomer. Most of the time, now there's a lot of hybrids out there that are doing well, like a drift rose, but most of the time, a spring bloomer is going to put on a show like you've never seen before because it's got one shot.
That rose that we showed as we were going to talk to Jason at Petals
gorgeous. That's
was a spring bloomer. And y'all, it literally had a bloom every square inch. And he showed us after we were finished talking that it had some shoots coming out of it that didn't have blooms on it. And he said, if you'll cut that back, it'll allow the energy to go into more blooms.
Right.
As if you need any more. But
it was gorgeous.
You just clip those off that don't have the blooms, and the energy will go into making even more blooms. So that spring bloomer, it was evident to me the difference in a spring and what do you call it? Repeat bloomer. Not to say the repeats aren't wonderful. They are.
No, because my Climbing Pinky's a repeat bloomer, and the drift roses are repeat bloomers, and all my roses are repeat bloomers except American Pillar right now. Most everything else is a repeat bloomer, but
you know what I noticed yesterday?
What's that?
So I was down at the fruit orchard, and I was probably going to the old barn, and I turn and I look at the drift roses because it's a beautiful show that they're putting on right now. We'll need to show that too from the fruit orchard side. One of them is a little different color.
And it wasn't like that originally, so I don't know what's caused that. It's a really, really, really light pink, almost white.
So we have this whole bank of
and that one rose.
coral colored drift roses, and there's one in the center that's got a lighter color, and it sticks out like a sore thumb. Now, I don't think we ought to dig it up and try to
no,
because it's huge, but it is different, and you definitely want to know what happened here because it was coral to begin with.
I'll have to ask Jason. I don't know why but it definitely morphed. I've never seen it, but it's
I'm glad we chose that color though.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Coral. It's beautiful.
It is beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful. Somebody want to know, could you do lady banks in a pot? You would have to repot it.
I wouldn't want to do it in a pot.
It would be a lot of work, I think. If I was using, and I got a reply. I got a star by it on an email. Somebody want to know a good rose to grow in a pot. The drift rose would be great in a pot. Drift rose and that petite Scotch pink that we got planted in the planter in front of your mom's house.
Oh yeah,
that would be good in a pot. But those two would be really. But I take that back. That's the spring bloomer.
Which one?
The one in the planter, the petite Scotch pink.
Oh, okay.
That is a spring bloomer.
Huh?
I forgot about that one. Yep.
What can you grow in the desert?
Ooh, I don't know.
Gina, we don't know about the desert.
Cactus.
Yeah.
I don't know.
A cactus rose.
Oh, I saw somebody saying they asked me about moles. Several people. What in the world do you how can you control moles?
And you mean MOLE, like the little critter that digs and eats your roots.
That's right. So the reason that you have moles is because more likely you have grubs. So if you could control the grubs and get rid of the grubs, then the moles would move on. So we had some moles at our old farm.
We did. We don't. Well, I'm not gonna say that.
Ground's too hard here.
We might bring some moles in just to loosen the soil up a little bit. You know what we have here that I have never seen in my life until we moved to Chilton County? Groundhogs.
There's a lot of groundhogs here.
Y'all, I have never seen a groundhog in my life until we moved here. And you'll be driving down the road, and at first it looked like a beaver. Is what they kind of look like if you're just driving. You're like, what is that beaver doing? There's no water. There's just land. Why is there a beaver? It's not a beaver. It's a groundhog. So yesterday, Mary Carl and I saw 3 of them, and it was like a family, and they were all sitting there together, grooming themselves on the side of the road.
Really?
I've never seen anything like it.
Like a cat?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Get out of town.
So, this is what I learned recently. Mary Carl and I were over at our friend Catherine's house, and we're talking about groundhogs because Catherine has a lot of rabbits. It was dark. We're sitting out there at dark, and y'all, there's literally rabbits running everywhere in her yard. It was unreal. I'm glad we don't have a rabbit problem like that. So her cat, Honey, is out there hunting. And Honey, she goes out, she sleeps all day and goes out at night. And rabbits are her thing because there's so many of them.
Yeah.
She'll catch a rabbit. Catherine has a cat door. She brings it in the house and lets it loose. So then they've got a rabbit running loose in the house. And Tony and Catherine have to put on their second gear and try to catch a loose rabbit in the house because Honey obviously thinks it's funny. Needless to say, we were talking about groundhogs, but I found something out, and that is that Catherine said, "Oh, whistle pigs." I said, "What?"
That's what she called a groundhog?
Yes.
They whistle?
And I said, "Why do you call it a whistle pig?" And she said, "You're just going to have to Google." So needless to say, on the way home, Mary Carl's with me. She Googles whistle pig, and their sound is indicative of why they're called a whistle pig. I've never heard them make a sound, but we're always driving down the road too. Now, when we first moved here, we had a camera down there in the old barn.
We did.
And we caught something on that camera that we could not figure out what it was. Jason thought it was what do you think it was?
Badger.
A badger. Mary Carl thought it was a raccoon that had just lost its fur or something. None of us could figure out what it was. It was a groundhog.
The groundhog.
And it was in the old barn. There was a drainage pipe that goes out in case that barn was used for a pig barn. And so it's got 2 almost trough-like things on each side of the barn. And when they did their thing, they would rinse the middle of the barn off, and that was the drains. And there's a pipe that goes outside, and that's how the groundhog was getting in. And we caught it on camera. And I just never, ever saw one. The whole time we lived in Dallas County, I never saw a groundhog.
Really didn't. I don't know why they're here. They're not, well, I say that we had one in our barn, but they haven't done any.
No damage yet.
Nothing like that here at all.
But we know that they are reproducing. Goodness. We just, they eat roots. And so we really don't welcome them here.
Yeah, I know it.
But they can stay where they want to.
Somebody said that they would go and eat their green tomatoes, just take one bite and go on to the next one.
Oh my goodness!
That angers me more than anything when the animal just don't eat the whole thing. And deer would do that with pumpkins and watermelon.
Yeah. Isn't a woodchuck different than
I don't know. A lot of people saying woodchuck. I have no idea.
I never. Well, like a whistle pig. Catherine got me on that one. Mary Carl and I were like, a whistle pig? What is that? Oklahoma has prairie dogs. Now, we don't have prairie dogs here. But I know that is something in abundance in other places. Strange to me that we never saw them.
I've seen a lot of people saying that the the young ones are good to eat. Groundhogs.
Oh my
Several
goodness.
people on here.
How about that?
Mm-hmm.
You know, what amazes me is everyone that we ever see is very plump. They're very plump
I guess that's why I call them whistle pigs. Because
because,
they pigs. They
yeah,
big.
but they look like a beaver.
Mm-hmm.
Huh, I don't know. It just amazes me the way they look.
Yeah.
And another thing we didn't see very often in Dallas County
Mm-hmm.
was turkeys. Since we moved to Tilton County, turkeys are in abundance. Not to say there aren't turkeys in Dallas County, because
Right.
there are, but we didn't see them
Mm-hmm.
like we do here. I mean, it's nothing to be driving down the road and see a flock of 20. Whereas in Dallas County, if you saw them, it was a memory that you wanted to jot down
Right.
because
Right.
you just didn't see them.
That's right.
They stink real bad.
Really? Woodchucks? They're saying some people are saying it's the same animal.
I didn't know
I
that.
didn't know that either.
That's interesting.
Yep. The turkey population here is pretty hefty.
So I recently saw a post on, I believe it was Facebook or somewhere, and it was in a big city, Montgomery, Birmingham, somewhere like that. There was a big tree, and there was a whistle pig, aka groundhog, laying up under that tree. And they said he had been there for hours and he wouldn't move. And so it was like 15 people had gone to check on this whistle pig, and they couldn't get it to move. And I think that he was not doing well. But do y'all know that those things can really, really get you?
Oh, I can imagine.
They can really do some damage. So
I can imagine.
I'm glad. Well, I'm not glad he was on death's door, but I'm glad he didn't hurt anybody because they were trying to help him. And had he got whim, he could have really tore them up because they have some claws that just look nasty. They have to. They dig. You know, they burrow and they eat roots and live underground, so they stink.
So Pam said her dad said you can eat a groundhog, and when you get through cooking it, throw the groundhog away and keep your pan.
That's funny. That's funny.
Oh, am I growing pomegranates? Yes. My buddy Destin, the Texas gardening guy, gave me 2 pomegranates last year, and I got them planted in a fruit orchard, but they're little. They're little bitty. I'll be anxious to see how big they get this year. I planted them in the fall, but they are, one of them was like that, and the other one's about like that. So, but they're still living.
That's a good thing.
They are still living.
We didn't lose anything in the fruit orchard this past year.
Knock on wood.
Well, I think we're past that point. We're almost to May.
We're past that point. Now we're in the blight season. So fire blight.
Sound like you said flyer.
I may have, but didn't mean it.
Peonies.
Peonies. I don't grow peonies.
I say peonies.
Because they don't do well here because of our humidity. But Petals does have a variety that we supposedly can grow. So I may look into that. Because they're gorgeous.
Higher Ground Farms, I think they want to know what variety the pomegranates are, if I'm not mistaken.
One of them is a Texas, because he is the Texas garden guy. I can't remember.
You just making that up?
No, one of them's a Texas pink or something like that.
It's a Texas garden guy pomegranate.
And I can't remember the other one.
That's the variety.
I can't remember it. I'll have to ask Destin and see what he says. He'll tell me. He can't remember all that stuff. I can't.
Well, that's his love and that's his interest.
It is.
You know, it's easy to remember things when that's your focus.
It is, because the rose names I have a good time, or a good. I don't forget those fairly often. I can remember the rose, except that one Jason showed us on that it was like this long of a name.
Well, you know, I was fixing to say that he struck my interest over the weekend. Well, not over the weekend, but over this past week when we went to visit him, because he pronounced something and he said, I know I'm not saying that correctly.
Yeah.
And that just made me feel so much more comfortable, not with rose names, because that's not something I do often, but just with pronunciation in general.
And he is that's his passion. That's why it's called Petals from the Past. That's what he got. That's what led him to do what he's doing. He had went to college at Texas. Auburn to start with. And, was in horticulture. and then graduated there, and then went to Texas A&M. But when he went to Texas A&M, it was more of roses,
Mm-hmm.
and he was part of the Rose Wranglers, is what they're called. And if you know anything about the rose world, hardcore, the Texas A&M Rose Wranglers are a big deal. They've saved a lot of roses, and have found a lot of new species of rose, not new, old varieties that
they've brought back.
Yeah.
Good morning, Michael. I hope you slept well. It looks like you're just getting up and about.
So that's Jason's passion. That's that he knows in and out, and
his daddy does too.
His dad knows more fruit.
Mm-hmm.
His dad's a fruit expert, but Jason is rose expert.
His dad has a doctorate, so he's a Dr. Artie Powell.
That's right.
Where I believe Jason has a master's.
I think that's right. But Jason, he told me a story one time, and I forget what rose it is, but Jason teaches these classes about roses all across the state. And for years, he'd been pronouncing this rose a certain way, and he taught at this, class or whatever. And a older lady came up to him and told him that he was pronouncing that wrong, and told him how to say it. And he said all these years he had been pronouncing that rose one way. And
it's just like you get used to saying something, just like me saying peony. It's not a word I say very frequently, but when you say something over and over, it's hard to break that. So
yeah, that's right.
Doesn't mean you're closed-minded and don't want to say it right.
Plus, too, roses, the origins, it could have a Latin background. It could be a French. It could be. So all that could just I can see how you can mess up that. Yep.
I'm just glad you don't have to pronounce them all day in and out. I'm sure you would do well at it if you did it all the time, but
I would.
It takes some practice.
I go by Jason and Tracy. That's where I learned how to pronounce the ones I have. Like Juan Desprez, which is spelled Deprise.
That's
if it was me, I would call it Juan Deprise.
Juan Deprise.
Mm-hmm. But it is Desprez.
You heard him say it.
I heard him say it.
Or Tracy. Tracy's good.
And if they're not saying it right, then I'm not saying it right. That's
right. Speaking of classes, you were talking about the rose classes.
Yeah.
So we were tagged in something that is going to make a comeback. So about 10 years ago, they started with the ice bucket challenge, and it was USC challenge for ALS.
It was ALS, and this one is for mental health, if I'm not mistaken.
And so when that challenge started, they were raising money, and the money goes to ALS now. So if I'm not mistaken,
I wrote it all down.
Okay, but anyway, so Klombach Feed Company challenged us to the ice bucket challenge, and we will be participating in that hopefully later today. Isn't it for ALS again?
Speak Your Mind fundraising page. So Active Minds, make a donation.
When you click on that link, though, I believe the money goes to ALS still.
Okay.
Anyway, you're supposed to do the challenge and then challenge someone else. So upon browsing Klombach's page, I noticed that, and this I already knew, but it just came to my mind. They offer lots of free classes, y'all. If you are interested in learning more about chicks or even animal health in general, they have a lot of free classes that you can sign up for, and it's at Klombach.
Oh yeah, they got a lot of them. Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like even if you don't use that feed, there's a lot of things people can benefit that have animals.
That's right.
And their staff is so knowledgeable. If there's an animal that you are not comfortable with what you're feeding, reach out to them and they'll be happy to help you get a feed that is nutritious and benefits your animal.
And it is for mental health. It's not for ALS.
Okay. But the link, I believe, the money.
No, it's not. Just
mental health.
ActiveMinds.com is where it goes.
Gotcha.
Yep.
For mental health. So that's going to be fun because they did challenge us, and Jason agreed to participate.
I did.
So we got something fun planned.
Hopefully.
Yeah. I did see when I Googled some of it. I did see a mishap that happened.
Oh, there's a lot of them.
There's a lot of mishaps.
There's a lot of them.
So if you guys do that challenge, just be safe.
Be careful.
Be safe.
Yep.
But it is something that needs to, these challenges come around again and again. And 10 years ago was when the ALS was brought about. So now they want to do it for mental health, and that's a good thing.
Yep.
That's a good thing.
Kalmbach, KALMBACH is the name of the company. Somebody wanted to know where you go to look at the classes.
Now, I saw it on Facebook, but I'm sure their website has a section that you can sign up for classes, and they are all free. So, and it's simply clicking on a link. Clicking on a link and watching a class about whatever you want to know about. They are just fantastic folks over there with a lot of knowledge. A lot of knowledge. We've been talking to them about Reska and Willie and them being on a good senior feed that will benefit them. So I can vouch firsthand that they will help you and they will do well with whatever your concern is.
Right.
Whether it be horses or goats or emus. That's the emu feed that we use. It's Kalmbach. It's the only company I know that
Kalmbach. You add extra L every time.
It's okay. I said you get used to saying something. I did a video recently showing that I used medicated Kalmbach chick starter, and I was doing well with it, and I got told that I wasn't pronouncing it right then. So y'all know what I'm talking about.
Somebody said that they had a Kalmbach rep come to their farm.
How about
with
that?
Nutrition.
I mean, their reach is outstanding. So I don't see that there would be any reason, no matter where you are, that you couldn't get their feed, because they pretty much cover the United States.
They've expanded their whole thing there.
Yeah, they built a plant in Mississippi, which makes it much easier for us to get our feed versus it used to come from Ohio. That Mississippi plant has really made it faster for our feed to get here. So that's a good thing. That is a good thing.
So on the video ago, I talked about Riska's past. Riska.
You said it wrong.
Riska's past. Like you and Mary Carl get on to me for saying Hobby Lobbies.
Or Munsters.
And some people want to know about her mom and her grandmother. Well, did they win any money? Were they big racehorses? And her grandmother on her dad's side, it was not. She didn't have any. She wasn't a racer. I don't know.
She was good for making babies.
I guess it was just genetics. And then her mom, on her mom's side, actually did race. And nope, take that back. That's her grandmother on her mom's side. Did race, and she won $91,000 in her career.
What year was that?
1989.
Ooh, that would be a lot today.
Yes, it would be probably double. That's what I'm noticing.
Wow.
Probably double.
So that was her.
That was her grandmother on her mom's side.
Okay.
Yep. That would have been Art's Place. His wife, and Art's Place is the one that won almost $3.1 million.
And that was when Art's Place?
He was in 1988.
So that's probably $6 million today.
His biggest year was in 1992. That's when he went undefeated, won 16 straight races, and I think won $900,000 that year.
Wowzers! Yeah. And Miss Nancy that had Reska for 8 years did not know this history. I reached out to her and shared it, and she was very appreciative and was interested in hearing the history. But Reska's meaning to us, and as well, Nancy as well, was giving her a good home.
That's right.
And the history is, of course, interesting, but it's just amazing to us that there's so much we didn't know.
Oh, yeah.
And that goes for any animal. Who's to say Willie wasn't a champion at something? We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. Willie doesn't have a brain, though, so it'd be impossible to find out. But
I thought you were going to say Willie doesn't have a brain.
Oh, he's got brain.
Willie doesn't have a brain.
He didn't have a brand, and that's how everybody. I say everybody. That's how these horse gurus knew to look up or how to look up risk. Because I tried it, and nothing came up except you could if you were a member of this pay site. If you was like I guess like a real core horse racing person. I don't know what you call them, but you could find the history, and that's what happened. We had several people who knew some people that were hardcore in that
right industry
field, and that's how we
think
found
it's called
that
industry, but maybe.
and that's how we found out her past, which was awesome.
Well, Nancy has some paperwork where she, rescued Reska.
Yeah.
But in that paperwork, there was nothing about her history. So did I check for a tattoo on her lip? From what I read, when they do the freeze brand, they don't do the tattoo in their lip. It's usually not, will look, but it's usually not both. It's one or the other, and I could be wrong, but that's what I found when I was reading. But Nancy had her birthday, and she had that because of some paperwork that she had. So her paperwork didn't go as far as her grandparents and all that. It was just simply her birth date and her registered name.
Right. Some are saying Willie may have a tattoo in his lip.
He may.
I
tell you, I've got a picture of Willie when he first came to live here. Mary Carl was grooming him, and his old lip was stuck out like that. And y'all know on Bubba Gump, I tried to get Mary Carl and Jason to consider the name Bubba.
Yeah.
But Bubba was just a little too simple.
Yeah. A little too simple.
So I could have looked in his mouth that day, but I didn't know to.
And I guess Dr. Scott could have looked when he was floating his teeth.
He could have.
Yeah.
Well, I might can look because I got a little video.
I'm sure he won't care at all. I'm sure he could sit there.
No, I'm saying I could look at the video because I had a video of him floating his teeth. See if I can maybe get a look without. Yeah, he's easy going.
Yeah, he's easy going.
They both are. They both are. It's just we couldn't ask for two better senior horses.
The lip tattoo is for thoroughbreds.
Okay.
And I think Reska is a saddlebred.
Okay. That's what I read. Yeah. Yeah. One of them has both and one of them doesn't. So. But she could, and it wouldn't hurt to look. So. Yeah, Willie's a good name. Yeah. Willie is a good name.
Willie is a good name. Is Willie on Luberson? Yes.
Willie and Reska are both on Luberson.
Yeah. Reska's got a little arthritis, and we know Willie's got the issue with his tendon, and his foot's getting way, 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 way better. Way better.
Way better.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I have picked up a saddle. I haven't gotten it yet, but on Marketplace, and I've arranged to have that picked up next time we're in North Alabama. Nice lady is an educator in North Alabama, had it for sale, and it was a good deal, and it's something that I feel like I can lift. It's a synthetic saddle instead of a leather saddle, so it won't be as heavy.
That's right.
And we'll start practicing just putting a saddle on him and see how he does. I mean, not necessarily jump on him immediately, but Dr. Scott said if we see that his leg is improved, there's no reason why we can't get on him and ride around the farm and just see how he does.
Just how he does. And nothing, just riding around. There's a connection with people and horses, and and so, just letting him work a little bit and that kind of thing. But
exercise.
A lot of exercise for him, and but it wouldn't be for probably 20 minutes or so.
Right.
Yeah.
One of the questions that Klombach had for me was, how much exercise do Willie and Reska get? And they need a little exercise, both of them. And
absolutely.
Mary Carl's been riding Reska a little bit, just around here. Nothing that's gonna put either of them in
not at all
any kind of stress. And I've got in my mind that I could possibly clear some trails back in the woods, and
it's just walking. I mean, that's all.
And that's all we would ever want to do. I think. I don't think we'd ever load them up in a trailer and
I don't think so.
Take them anywhere. Right. Maybe if we had a different horse that was intended for that purpose, but that's down the road. That's not right now.
Yeah,
we're just interested in getting these two adjusted and into a bigger pasture that will be permanent.
Yep.
A little bit at a time.
That's right.
So, I see some people saying that they have started their Luberson, and I'm still getting emails, and it just warms my heart so much to see how much the Luberson has helped some of you people that have tried it. We know it's helped our animals. We know it's helped Matilda. I never really saw the arthritis in Reska, but Miss Nancy was thrilled to know that we were going to use a supplement for her.
Right.
That it has to help her. It
Mhm.
has to help her. It helps me. It helps Matilda. It's helping you guys. So, just thrilled to know that Luberson is out there and that we became aware of it.
So, the other day, not to change the subject, but we were going on a brief birding trip. We had to stop by Simply Making It, Laura, or Simply Making It. And every time we go over there, there's a couple little hot spots Mary Carl likes to go to. And here we are riding down the road, and I might add a 4-lane road with a median in the middle, and the speed limit's 65. And so we're riding down the road, and all of a sudden, Mary Carl says, "Stop. There's black belly whistling ducks."
I didn't know where you were going with this.
Can we turn around? And you said, "Sure, we can turn around." And how she saw it blows my mind. It absolutely blows my mind. Well, we're talking about we're on this side. So you got another lane of traffic. You got a median that's probably wider than the 2 lanes of traffic, and then 2 more lanes of traffic. And then down a driveway and a business that was a catfish farm, feed mill. I don't know how she saw them. Well, I have absolutely no idea how she saw them.
After she said, "Stop, stop, stop," we go to turn around, and she says, "It may not have been." She wanted to make sure she clarified that. Yeah. It may not have been, but I think it was.
I think it's black belly whistling ducks. And so, which is a rarity in our area. And so we turned around, and lo and behold, that's what it was. And so when we pulled in this business, which is like a
catfish feed mill,
they're making feed for cat, because catfish farming business is huge in this area where we were at.
In Uniontown, Marion Junction, Alabama, Marion.
It is. I would say it's probably 90% of the definitely the agriculture over there,
right?
If not more.
It's just catfish farmers are
everywhere over there. So we turn around, go down in there, and y'all, like I said, there's 18-wheelers. This is a big catfish feed mill. I don't know who. They probably supply feed for no telling how many catfish farms across the country, not only Alabama. And so they were everywhere. Once we get past those 2, we went down in there, and they were everywhere in there. And
it's a parking lot, and there's 18-wheelers that are filling up their trucks with the feed, from grain mill. And Mary Carl's like, "It's raining." It was raining. And so she said, "Mama, can you drive back there?" And I said, "Mary Carl, that's where they're loading the trucks and stuff. We're gonna have to be real careful, but we will." We will.
And I'm thinking the whole time, we're going to get in trouble. We're going to get in trouble.
But you didn't say a word.
I didn't, but my mind was like, we're fixing to get in trouble. We're getting in trouble. And so you pulled around to the back, and there was anywhere from 40 to 50 of these ducks.
And she is giddy.
She's giddy. And so she's taking pictures. And so lo and behold, here comes the door, and here comes 2 men out the door, walking to us,
doing just like this.
And I tied up. I said, "Here we go. We're getting in trouble. And so we go over there, we pull up, and one of the gentlemen looks over and says, "Oh my gosh." He said, if there'd have been anybody that said there's these people in this SUV pulled around in the back of our business taking pictures, he said, I would have said it would have been Jason Smith. And it was a gentleman that I went to school with and known him for years. And he was there, and he kind of runs the place. And
Mr.
Brennan. And so we wasn't in trouble.
But Mr. Brennan was about to say, "Why are y'all snooping
in
around.
the world are y'all doing over here?
Oh,
But
goodness.
then after much conversation with my buddy, the catfish mill supplies catfish feed for a lot of farms, including Pierce Catfish Farm, which is, I think it might be the second biggest catfish farm, but it's up there.
It's
either in the Southeast or the United States. It's huge, it's massive. And Brennan works over there, and he's in charge of a lot of stuff over there. And he proceeds to tell us that
he tells me, Carl.
Yeah.
He said, you like to take pictures? And it's raining at the time. Yeah. So me, Carl, and Brennan are standing under the cover. And she said, yes, sir. And he said, okay. He said, if there are any catfish farms that you would like to visit, you tell Uncle Brennan, and Uncle Brennan will get you into anywhere you want to go, because right. I got connections.
That's right.
So me and Carl's grinning from ear to ear, because catfish farms are the spot for birds, and there's a reason for that.
That's right.
He said these catfish farmers are go dump 100,000 fingerlings into a pond. And he said the birds will get 50,000 of them.
He said they always account for half of the being lost. So I guess they probably, if they want to harvest 50,000 catfish out of that pond, they put 100,000 in there, because
birds are going to eat them.
Going to get half of them.
Yep. And not necessarily at the time they're dumping them, but they live there because they know that they got an easy meal. And that's just why there's so many birds around catfish farms. Now, I don't know what they were doing at the feed mill, because the feed mill does not consist of catfish. It consists of feed for the catfish.
And they were in the parking lot, and there was no feed or anything around there. So it was really odd that they were there. But
and Brennan said, I have never seen these ducks before in my life.
Never seen them there before. Yep.
So it just so happened that we were driving by.
They got a picture of them, and they're called whistling ducks because I guess they're kind of like a whistling pig. They
a whistle pig.
A whistle pig. They actually do. But this was it.
Do you have a video of them making a noise?
I don't, but this is what they look like.
It was quite an experience for all of us, because she seen two fly over, and the flyover that she saw was in that very area. Not at the catfish feed mill, but in that area where there's catfish ponds.
Right.
But never seen them up close like that. And it slacked up enough to where she got to get out and take some really good pictures. Yeah, they do sound like a squeaky toy. It's just,
yeah, they do. They don't sound like a duck.
No. So we go to another spot where a bird that is native to Mexico was supposed to be. A birder, Andrew, had seen it there just a day before.
Yep.
So we're there looking and looking and looking, and we never saw it. Here comes a SUV, and the gentleman was a birder. He was on his way south to Mobile, and he said, did y'all see it? And Mary Carl was like, no, we didn't see it. We didn't see it. But birding is like when you see something that somebody else reported, you go try to see it. And this gentleman said, just 2 hours after Andrew was there, his buddy came and tried to see the bird, and it was gone.
And he was there for 2 hours trying to find it.
And he never saw it. So it's a hit or miss.
It was some type of king bird, but I can't remember what it was called.
But we told him about the black belly whistling ducks, and we didn't tell him about Brennan. We
we just told him there was black belly whistling ducks.
They were in the parking lot, and he could see them from the road.
Yeah.
It was interesting. I wonder how long they were there after they left. I need to ask Brennan.
So there's a little inside joke me and Brennan have had since high school. And played basketball, and me and Brennan were fairly good at basketball, but we were really small. Both of us were really, really tiny. So both of us played point guard. And me and Brennan were the only guys on the team, basically. I was a starter. Brennan was a year younger than me. So Brennan would come off.
2 years younger than you.
2 years younger than me. So he would come off the bench. But we were the only two guys on the team, basically, that were not football players. So neither me or Brennan played football. The head coach of the team at the time was the defensive coordinator for the football team. So there seemed to be some slightly favoritism to the football players on the basketball team. So there was a lot of times where me and Brennan had a short leash, and
you didn't see a lot of playing time.
Not like we should have, even though I was a starter. But there was this one particular game we were playing the number one team in the state, and we were down by 22 points. Some of the football players got in foul trouble, and the coach had no choice. I take that back. Another friend of mine, also Ryan, was a player who was also very good.
Michael Key wasn't there then, was he?
Michael was there.
Oh, Michael was there.
Yep. And Michael knows this game because this is the game Michael Key broke his ankle in.
Yes. I never knew that.
We were down by 22 points against this team. He put me and Brennan in, and
I got chills just him telling about this story.
And so me and Brennan came in, and this is the first time me and Brennan played at the same time, ever, and never played at the same time again, ever. We were down by 22 points in the first half.
Were y'all at Lowndes?
We were at Lowndes.
Okay, I thought y'all were at Meadowview.
No, we were at Lowndes. We
Michael
were on the road.
Remembers that because he rode in an ambulance.
He rode an ambulance. And by halftime, we were up by 6. Me and Brennan were on fire. It was unreal at the comeback. But in that game, our main man, Michael Key, went up for a rebound and came down, and I heard it because I was almost right beside Michael when it happened. And Michael went down, and he looked at me, and he held his leg up, and his foot his ankle was broken.
It was mangled.
And he said, I think I broke my leg. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I turned around and I yelled at the coach. And told him to come over here. And of course this is in the country. And so they had to put Michael on a folding table and carry him out and take him to the doctor. I know that was, yeah. Whew. It was,
you could visibly see it was broken.
That was a roller coaster of a ride because
the emotions were high.
Because, we got in, he finally let me and Brennan do what we could do. And then, the down was when, my buddy Michael Key breaks his ankle. And we ended up losing the game. We ended up losing because it was such a big roller. As a team, our mind was not in the game anymore. It wasn't. Our minds were just, it was gone. But, yeah, that always sticks with me and Brennan all the time was every time we see each other, we always say 22 points.
And I always know exactly what they're going to say when they see each other. Brennan's telling his coworker, he's like, Jason, you tell the story now. Tell him what happened. Tell him. No, man, you got to use more emotion than that.
Oh, I will never forget. So my buddy Ryan, who was, and Ryan was such a low-key guy. He never got in any type of trouble. Ryan would never did anything, but Ryan was a good basketball player. And so the favoritism towards the older guys kind of got under some of our skin, including Ryan. And I'll never forget this game. Mike, I don't know if you remember this game or not, but we were playing Catherine.
Did y'all win the Lowndes game?
No, we lost it. Our emotions got so high. And I'll never forget this because I got fouled in the final seconds of the game, and if I make both free throws and it was a 1-1, the game goes overtime. So it's just like you imagine in the movies. So I get fouled, 1-1. If I miss one of the free throws, the game's over and we lose. If I make both of them, the game goes into overtime. So it's just like I get up there and everything's fast and boom, boom, boom. And just all of a sudden the ball, everything goes in total slow motion. And it's just like, boom, boom. And I shoot the free throw and it goes in. And as soon as it hits, I can hear, it's like all of a sudden the volume comes on. And I hear the cheerleaders and the crowd. And then all of a sudden they get the second one and the same thing. It goes back quiet again. And I hit it and it goes in overtime. So my buddy Ryan hasn't played hardly any. I foul out because it goes in overtime. I foul out. The other guard fouls out. So we're in foul trouble. So he has to put Ryan in there. He puts Ryan. I'll never forget this. And Ryan is a legend for doing this. He really is. So He hollers at Ryan and tells Ryan to get in the game. My buddy Ryan goes, "No, sir, I'm not going in." And I know it sounds bad, but Ryan was just as good as anybody else on the team, and worked just as hard as everybody else did. But there's just so much blatant favoritism on the coach's part, so much. And Ryan had enough of it, and when he told him to get in there, Ryan told him no. And the coach's face got as red, y'all, as you can imagine. Oh my gracious! So finally, after a little fight on the sidelines, Ryan goes in the game, and I'm not telling you no lie. Ryan stands at half court. Michael, do you remember this? Ryan stands at half court with his arms crossed, and the place just starts going up and down. So our coach has to call a timeout to get Ryan out of the game.
Oh my gosh! And this is not Ryan, the coffee guy.
No. This is not Ryan, the coffee guy. And I'm bracing myself for the game to be over with because he's going to go nuts, and he did go nuts. And Ryan, of course, quit that day. But Ryan made a stand. He did. He made a stand.
But did y'all win? You don't remember? It was all about Ryan.
Yeah, it was. I can't remember if we won that game or not. Honestly, now I can't remember. But oh my gosh, I cannot believe he did it. Number one, I cannot believe because it's unlike him. Unlike him.
Did he quit right there on the court, or did it go to the locker room?
Oh, he went to the locker room after
it was over. And he got chewed out,
with.
I'm sure.
Oh yeah, it was. Oh yeah, he got chewed out in the locker room. He got chewed out bad. He did. But he just stood there and took it. Didn't say a word. Just stood there and took it. And of course, the next day he was over with and quit. But he stood his ground.
I don't think I've ever heard that.
Oh man, it was. Yeah. He stood his ground.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. Well, sometimes it comes to that.
Yep.
Sometimes it comes to that.
Yep. Ryan said he don't remember that. I mean, Michael said, but he remembers the favoritism was bad.
But Michael didn't play football.
He didn't, but Michael was a big fella.
Michael was a big fella, but
so he needed that size, I reckon. The favoritism was bad. Favoritism was bad. Yeah.
Well. Anyway.
But it's okay. It's okay. I'll never forget. I mean, the look. Y'all can only imagine the game's in overtime, and your players are fouled out, and here's a guy that
he was probably 17 years old, 16 years old,
18 years old, just as good as everybody else that was playing, and just sat right there in the middle of the court. I mean, it was unreal.
Well, I can say that he's a bigger man than most because there's not too many people that would stand up for themselves in that position.
Not at all.
And that probably made him part of the man he is today for having that kind of attitude, because sometimes people need to be put in their place. That was a perfect example.
I did it in junior high.
We need some shirts that say "Way to go, Ryan."
I did it in junior
not the
high.
Roaster. Way to go, Ryan. Not the roaster.
I had a coach in junior high, and I can't remember what it was, but the game was over with, and he pulled me over, and he cussed me out to a fly would land at me. I'm talking about cussed me out. And you're talking about a 14-year-old kid cussed me, and then he had a clipboard. He had a clipboard, and he took that clipboard and he threw it across the locker room, and then he called me the F word idiot. That's what he called me. And then I took my jersey off right there and I walked out.
Good for you.
I did.
Good for you.
I was done.
Go Ryan, go Jason.
I had enough.
Wow.
And that was the last game. No, second to last game of the season. I had one more game, but I wasn't taking it no more.
Sometimes it just,
especially just junior high basketball.
There's no need in it.
This is junior high basketball at a private school. It wasn't like any of us were going to be NBA stars or anything.
Well, it didn't matter if you were. Still not necessary. Go Jason. That's right. Well, are you finished with your coffee?
I am finished with my coffee.
Because that just tells me that we all need to have that Ryan and Jason attitude. But don't go to Walmart and do that today.
That's right. I did tell my mom was right out there. My mom didn't miss a game, and she was right out there. And I told her what I did. Didn't have my jersey on, and
I quit.
My mama she was
on board. I'm sure.
So wonder my mom didn't go in there and try to fight him.
Well, you don't think about things like that until you become a parent. And once you become a parent, you just don't put up with no mess.
No,
you would do things that you wouldn't ordinarily do for your children.
Yep.
Anyway.
Yep.
All right. Are y'all finished with your coffee?
I got just a
swab. I want some more, Jason.
We'll fix some more.
I want some more.
That's right.
I do. We got to replant our green stalk. It toppled over in the storm. And anyway, well, I hope that y'all have a fantastic day, whatever you are doing today, whether it be playing basketball or replanting your green stalk.
That's right.
Have a good attitude and just don't come in hot unless you got to.
That's right. Oh, y'all be good.